And we are back. And y'all, as usual, you're in for a treat today. And I am excited to be having this conversation with you all on this Tuesday. And I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I know there is no way we're at the end of September. There's no way. There's no way. I don't understand. How did we get here, people? If anybody has the answer, yeah, let us know because I have no clue how this is possible. But I'm excited to be in this space with you all. If you had the opportunity to join us in August, you know that we went live every single Tuesday in August to celebrate the release of Igniting Ink, which is my 30-day writing journey that has affirmations, prompts, and inspiration for aspiring women of color authors. And we had an absolute blast having conversations around the topics that are in this journal. And so for the first week, we were able to focus on cultivating healthy habits. The second week, we had the opportunity to talk about overcoming doubt and fear. The third week, we had the opportunity to talk about unleashing our stories. And then the fourth week, we had a chance to really embrace our unique voices and visions. And every single week was just absolutely amazing. Why, you might ask? Because we had the opportunity to feature a writer every single session. And y'all had a chance to really dive into their work and get a sneak peek of who they are as authors, what they're working on, and cheer them on along the way. We are all about being able to do this in community. This is not about doing this in a silo. And today, I am beyond excited to start the conversation and bring y'all in on a little something, something, right? A lot of the times people believe that writing is just going to happen and you're going to get inspired and poof, here's a book, here's a product. Look at Regina and Joan are like, that's not how that works. So
No.
today I really wanted to have a really honest and communal conversation around what does it look like to build writing rituals that really transform who you are as a writer and your practice. And so for those of you all who do not know who I am, it's your girl, Heather Bird. And I am an award winning writer, your favorite writing coach, and CEO of Bird's World Publishing, where we are on a mission to empower 1,000 women of color to write and publish their books so that they can turn their message into a movement. And when I tell y'all we are not playing about this goal, this vision, this mission, it is driving everything that we are doing. And it has been an absolute beautiful journey to be able to do so. And so we're going to talk more about this community and what we've been doing over the course of 22 months. But until we dive into that, y'all make sure y'all tag your friends, let them know that you're here. If you know that there are folks that have always wanted to write a book but did not know where to start, felt like they didn't have the time to do it and didn't have the plan to actually work through that process, this is the place that they need to be. So make sure, one, y'all let us know that y'all in the chat because we see y'all and we will be responding. This is a conversation. This is not a one-way thing that's happening here, right? Like we are here to be in community with you. So let us know who you are and where you are coming from, and then go tag a friend. Bring them into this room because they're gonna be real mad. They're gonna be real mad if they miss this. All right. So make sure y'all tag folks. I'm gonna go ahead and step out the way for a little bit because as y'all can see, I have two beautiful women who are here with me right now, who have been on this journey with me and keep me going on a regular basis. When I tell you all, there were times where I wanted to throw in the towel. These women and more helped me understand what it is that I'm doing and have also offered to be along this journey with me. And it has transformed the way I move. So I'm going to give Joan and Regina an opportunity to introduce themselves. So when y'all hop on this mic, can y'all let folks know who you are? Let them know your name, your pronouns if you choose, where your feet are planted. Thank you so much, Joan, for that gift of language. And then I want you to answer the question, what has been your biggest bird seed? Y'all know how we have our aha moments that we share. One of, we can say one of, because I feel like there's probably not just one, right? But what has been one of your biggest bird seeds that you have received just being in community with other women of color on this journey to being an author?
Mm.
Mm, what y'all got?
Go, Regina.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. No. All right. My name is Regina Berg. I am from Chicago, but I am currently living in Pflugerville, Texas. Uh, my daughter and my granddaughter. It's lovely. Um, she, her pronouns. I think one of the biggest bird seeds for me is, you know how they say practice makes perfect?
Mm.
I don't know if it makes perfect, but it sure makes better. And so I have learned that uh, persistence
Mm.
is key to writing poetry that really speaks to the person that you want to read. It's like finding the right words and putting them in the right place. It doesn't happen the first time you write the poem. That's the idea of the poem. So I think persistence is what I would say.
Yes, let's go. Yo, that's a bird seed for real.
That's
Can you repeat that again? You said, you know how they say practice makes perfect. What did you say after that?
I said, girl, please. I don't remember.
it makes better.
It makes it better.
Yes, practice makes it better. But it,
She be dropping gems and don't
it,
even know she be
you know,
dropping gems.
the thing about perfect is that it, it stops us in our tracks sometimes because we think we're looking for perfect. And there's very little in the world that's perfect.
Mm.
So it's not a matter of finding what's perfect or practicing too perfect. It's practicing and being persistent in finding the words that are the best ones that you know.
Mm.
All right, Joan, you all.
Okay,
I'm
Sage,
supposed
I
to.
see you.
I know, right? The professor.
Just
Um. Yep. Wow. I'm still vibing on the persistence. So I'm learning the persistence and patience are key to writing. But the big sort of unexpected bird seed was that I need to fill myself with not just the words of other authors that are printed on the printed page, but the future authors and published authors here in our morning conversations. Like I'm really getting it now that our conversations start to fill me and go into little corners of my being and sit there and wait for me to access them when I'm ready, when the work is ready. I feel I didn't know that. The way I was raised, it felt as though writers just wrote in a room and then they took it to the publisher and it got published, right? No drafts, no community, no stuckness, no any of that. And I'm realizing that it's a lifestyle that is collective, at least the way that it works for me in my community of sister resistors. So that's a big bird seed for me, is that
Mhm.
really being present to words created by other writers of different genres um, are really fueling me and adding to my work.
Mhm.
So what you're saying is you're not mad at me for when, I don't know, something is suggested and I do this. And I don't know, I grab a book and then I come back with that book. And then you have to purchase the book. So you're saying that you're not mad at me for when I do that. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
No, I love you. I love you for it. I love you for it.
Yeah.
And I have to add that it's I have a different set of eyes for my reading in some ways. I used to read to consume like a Netflix
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
as escape,
Binge.
as like, yeah, binge. But
Yeah.
what I'm noticing now in my reading is I'm underlining, ooh, I like how they did that. Oh, that's a great way to guide the reader. Oh, that's a wonderful way to summarize that. That's
Hmm.
great imagery right there. And the
Hmm.
lyricism, especially for me as a poet, to see that in different genres of my colleagues here, my sisters here in this community, as well as, on the printed page of writer ancestors, as well as newer pieces that we're reading.
Yeah.
I
I want to piggyback on that because, yeah, I mean, some of the pieces that I've written lately have come out of uh, the conversations that we have after our writing in the morning. One Breath came out of Joan, and that was, yeah, that's a great piece. I love that.
And
And
I feel honored, right? I feel honored that the synergy of the words
yep.
contribute to our craft,
Yeah.
and I like that what's the word, just the circular motion of, in our Slack channel, hey, I just read this in Black liturgies, and then I'll go find it and or listen to it, read it,
I
and
know.
that contributes to me. And the fact that that is going to mean something to me, there's a spiritual nature to it as well, which
Exactly.
I'm wondering if other writers like of the Harlem Renaissance, or just some Toni Morrison and her crew, like I wonder if that's how they experience it.
I don't
yeah.
know, but I love our group.
Yes. Yes.
I love our group
Yes.
too.
And one of the things I think was really beautiful that was pointed out from you, Joan, specifically, is how much you get from everyone that we are around, right? So it's not just folks come in and yes, I am the owner and the founder of this group, right? But this is not about me. It's about the collective knowledge that we're able to pull together to help folks along on their journey. And so I really adore Joan and Regina's relationship and the back and forth conversations that take place and the way in which you all challenge each other through that process, as someone who I think each of us are all individually on our own poetic journeys, right? We all are at different points
Hmm.
in in our writing journey when it comes to writing poems. And the really beautiful thing is it's not so much of a linear line where they say like, you end up further along than someone else and then you're passing the baton or the baton's being passed to you, and it's really looked at as this line. I really see it as more of a circle. And it's like, yeah, we might be at different points of the circle, but the point that we take up, the space that we take up in that circle isn't necessarily linear. It is, we're all working towards this one goal. How can we feed into whatever this person is in this circle to make sure that whoever's that focal point, we get to exchange, right? So Regina might be here, Joan might be here, I might be here. At one moment, I don't know who I said was who, but we gonna act like I did. Joan moves into the center, right? And then we all feed in and love her. And then she pulls out and gets to work on her work. And then I move in and I'm saying, I'm stuck, right? And that gets to be pulled in and you all get to uplift me. And then I step back. And then someone else, Regina moves in. And then Catherine moves in and Jano moves in and Cassie moves in. Like there is this really beautiful moment of we're not competing to take up space, right?
No.
We are moving and dancing and in a rhythm that's necessary for us to move in whatever direction we're planning on moving in, that I think is absolutely beautiful. And speaking of rituals, right? We're talking about building writing rituals that transform your practice.
Mhm.
And you all have already begun to talk about what the mornings have done for you. And so, one of the questions I would love for us to begin to dive into, and if you're watching this, right, let us know what your rituals are as you are writing and as I'm asking questions. Again, chime in, let us know what this looks like. Cassie, I absolutely adore you, my dear. Cassie is saying, I love our BWP community. It is absolutely one of the best spaces that I have the pleasure of being a part of. And so
Hmm.
it just warms my heart to know that others are also experiencing the same thing, right? Um, but we started talking about the mornings and what that has done for your writing. I really want to know from you all, like, what does your current writing routine look like for you, and how has it evolved over time? Because it's not something that's going to be set in stone, and it's going to shift depending on what rhythm we're in that day. Like it could literally shift from day to day. What is your current writing routine look like for you all? What are some of the things that you all do to get ready before you even start writing?
I think my mornings used to be where I would wake up and get going to the tasks of the day. And through morning pages, first of all, I start in community, which is very important to me, much more now than I ever thought it would be. And it's like when people say, like, oh, I didn't get my run in this morning and they feel bad. I don't feel that way. I feel really kind of done. And I can move through my day if I have to, but I feel undone if I haven't touched base with my sister friends and written together. And so seeing each other, and being able to, in whatever state I'm in, whether, I still got stuff in my eyes, or whether, I'm in my PJs, or I'm ready for work and I'm just trying to fit this in before I start my day. To start my day in community is part of the lifestyle that I've been able to really adopt and nurture.
Mm,
It makes a huge difference for my writing because I feel supported, right? Like I'm not doing this on my own. I'm being cheered on from the behind, from the side, being beckoned from in front, all just as you were saying, into the different places that we are.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how you said you get to show up with the crud in your eyes. And what did I say? You get to show up in your bonnets, rollers, robes, scarves, half off your head, cap on your head, stank breath, because none of us can actually smell it, except if it like reverberates off the screen. You can smell it. So, you might want to brush your teeth, but I know I'll be rolling out of bed like I am not doing anything else but rolling out of bed and turning on the computer. Like that's all I have.
Mhm.
And that is okay, right? But we have the opportunity to show up as ourselves, and there are not very many spaces that we can do that in.
And
Yeah.
we can do that on the page, you know?
That too.
Well, I think that that's the thing. It's like we can show up in this community as ourselves, and therefore, what we put on the on the page, it starts to do that. We unapologetically, as Catherine likes to say, put ourselves on the page, and I think that because we have a sisterhood around us that accepts us for who we are, where we are, what we are, doesn't matter. We roll out of bed, we got the stinky breath, our hair is like, whatever.
If it can do that.
You could do that. Mine does do that in spite of. But I think that having a community around us that supports us no matter what, um, then allows us the space to give ourselves permission to write who we are, what we have to say. No apologies on the page. And I think that because we write that we are in that honest space, then we can write that honestly. And when we write that honestly, then the page becomes real for the people who read it. And,
Absolutely.
and
Ooh, there she go. Just again,
I know, just dropping it. Professor Regina Berg.
just
Yeah.
boom. But
but
it's so true.
but it is true. And as far as rituals, I really don't have a lot. Um, I get up in the morning, I make myself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and then wherever I have my laptop, either it's in sitting on my bed or sitting back in my study, either one, I crawl back in, and and that's where I am,
Mm-hmm.
and it's good. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I like that too. Yeah.
Yes. Mine is a good playlist, fuzzy socks, and a cup of coffee.
Oh, the fuzzy socks. Yes,
The
ma'am.
fuzzy socks. There is something about ritual that I don't know if many people ask ourselves these questions, but for me, right, it is what I need in order for my spirit to be present, in
Mm.
order for me to
Yeah.
open up and allow for my ancestors to speak to me, right? Allow for me to listen, really be able to listen to myself. And so scent is a big one for me.
What is?
Scent.
Scent.
Scent is a
Oh
really big
yeah.
one for me. Like I have to ask myself, what smell, what sensation, like what smell do I need to have in this moment? I was telling folks right before we got on right now, actually, I have a big old bundle of an incense called Black Woman. And when I tell y'all, it just it allows me to stay present, right? So sometimes lighting a black stick of Black Woman incense will do it. I'm gonna look real crazy right now, but this will let you know how much I burn sage. I was like, well, probably should get the value pack. But like sometimes I need more of an earthy smell. Like a lot of the times I need earthy smells, and so sage, Palo Santo. Sometimes I will put a couple of drops of frankincense oil in a bowl and burn the oil so that it fills up the room. I really love earthy smells. That's like the first thing. If my smell's not on point, I'm distracted. Like if I can't
Mm.
get settled in the scents, I'm done for. And so I really start there of what smell do I need in order to be present, and then the music will come, and then is it tea, is it water, that I have with me. I'm apparently now known for shuffling cards. Like more people are like, "Are you shuffling right now, huh?" Right? And so how do I get into a really good rhythm with my shuffle, and not even necessarily asking my cards questions, but allowing it to reveal whatever it needs to reveal. I was actually at a retreat a couple of weeks ago with Regina, and we were intentionally asking questions and seeing what came up. And shout out to Marty McConnell, who saw me shuffling my cards, and then cards fell out. And she saw me having a conversation slash cussing out the cards. And she was like, "Is you cussing out your cards over there?" Yes, I am. I was like, "Fine, you trying to tell me something I already knew. I was trying to ignore it, right? Like, how do I set myself up to listen?" And so those are some of my really big pieces. But all in all, it's really just about me creating a space that allows my spirit to be ready to receive, right?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Heather?
Let's go. I love some questions.
So, and this is, I was just thinking about my book that I'm working on, Black Woman Breathe, and really focused on how might Black women revolutionize how they be, um, in their bodies, in their breath. And
Mhm.
one of the things that I want you to talk about is when you kept encouraging us, and there was a lot of encouraging needed to say, please say, I'm stuck. Like you created this really sort of silly, playful way, but yet serious calling in of
Mhm.
us speaking of honesty, vulnerability to
Mhm.
then bring to the page.
Mhm.
Why? What was behind that intention? What? Yeah, why? And yeah.
There are a couple of reasons why. One, our society, I don't believe, is set up to feel comfortable asking questions. Like there's this age that we reach where we're taught we're supposed to know the answers.
Mhm.
And if we don't know the answers, there is shame around not knowing the answers. And if you do ask, people look at you kind of sideways, right? And that eventually you begin to internalize that, and then you no longer ask questions, and then you move through the world trying to find the answers, but you don't have it, and then you get frustrated, and then you just stop. That's not helping anyone, right?
Mm,
Also, you all know one of my core values within Bird's World is joy, and
mhm,
being able to bring joy and curiosity together in these two spaces. Curiosity is another core value, right? Be able to bring joy and curiosity together, I think is something that, again, the older that we get, the more that is stripped from us. And so, shout out to my mama, who is just a big old goofball in general, whether she means it or not. Like, put her in a room and somebody is laughing, whether they're laughing at her or with her, or at both of us interacting together. Because if you saw us this weekend, because my mama's birthday was Saturday, if you saw us this weekend, literally, we were all there, three of us hanging out, and person that was watching us, shout out to Ma, she was just like, y'all are a whole plum fool. Like we would go places and people would just like get a whole show because we're ridiculous together. Right. And so I've just learned to play in a different way. And so why not make something that feels uncomfortable something that people want to do? We want to play. There just aren't very many opportunities for us to do so when we get older. So when everyone was waiting until our coaching sessions, when everyone was waiting for our one-on-one sessions, right, to ask questions, it's all right. Like we all do it. And I just look at you and I'm like, we have these mechanisms in place for us to be able to ask questions in between. That's the whole point of the community. And if you're not utilizing the community, what are you doing? Like we're doing things, but we're prolonging the process by not letting folks know I'm stuck. I need help. And so again, I was just being silly to make it fun and to know that folks were having difficulty, excuse me, in certain areas, to sit there and just be like, I'm stuck. And make it like as soon as every time I say it, Joan cracks up. Like every time I say it, Joan cracks up. Regina smiles. We're more likely to do things that make us feel good, that
Yeah.
makes us smile, that makes us giggle. The only reason people probably live in Pflugerville is because it sounds like it belongs in a Dr. Seuss picture book. You know what I'm saying? Like every time you say Pflugerville, it makes me giggle. But there is a joy that is activated within me because of it, right? And so, what are the ways in which we can set up techniques to make this journey of writing fun, even when you're struggling, even when you have a challenge? Why not sit there and send a voice message and say, "I'm stuck," and then people have the opportunity to help you. You get to
mhm,
be in the center of the circle and be helped and be loved on so that you can move through whatever challenge you're dealing with, and also see that you are not alone.
mhm.
No one wants to be on an island for real for a long period of time. I don't know. I'd be on an island for, I'd take 2 weeks by myself. I'm not gonna lie, because that'll
But
give me a
usually,
chance to myself. But
but usually, but I have to say that usually as female identified folks, we're told to figure it out ourselves, or we internalize that that's how we're supposed to move through the world, that you just don't tell
Mm.
people, because then they'll think less of you. They'll think less of your craft. They'll think less of
Yeah.
your work. And I'm bringing it to my professional space as well. And being able to be joyful and move with ease is what you have given me permission, Regina's word,
Mhm.
permission to adopt, which is to not carry it by myself.
Yeah.
And then I realized once I get through, cross over that what seems like a big wall of whatever that I shouldn't ask for help, when I do, I'm then provided all that I need
Mm. Mhm. And more.
and
And
more.
more.
and
Because
more.
it's like sometimes you ask a question that you think is the question, and then as we begin to talk through things, you realize, oh wait, that wasn't the
That
question.
wasn't the question at all.
That wasn't the question at all, but you never would have gotten to it unless you asked the question.
Mm,
And I
But
think that that's one of the lovely things about our community. It's like the the conversations that we have after the writing. It's a time when we do question. Not we sometimes we're questioning ourselves, sometimes we're questioning where we're going to what we're going to do next. But whatever it is, we have that permission, we have that freedom. There is a joy in the community that allows us to ask. And it's not always asking, like I'm stuck. It's like, huh, why? I don't understand that. Or as one of my students from a million years ago used to say, Miss Bird, I don't get it.
again, right?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
But there's a freedom of being able to do that and say that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
There-
word, freedom.
And that's another word, a core value, right? Like all of the work that we are doing and the reason why we focus on women of color is for our liberation. It's for the ability to be able to move through the world in the way we deserve to move through the world that we don't have the opportunity to do.
Hmm.
When we wake up and step outside of our house, there is a shield, there is a mask, there is a presentation that has to exist for our own survival. And that becomes exhausting.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does it look like for us to create a space where our liberation is possible?
Yeah,
Just
today, not tomorrow,
today.
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 Today. And what's lovely is being in the community, then you can see it yesterday and the day but day before,
Mm.
day before that. So you see this history of
Mm-hmm.
permission, you see this history of freedom. And so did you move into it more freely?
You do.
Hmm.
You
You
know,
do.
I'm looking for another word, but there you go.
It really is, right? And the more you write, the more you discover about yourself. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to be able to pull together Igniting Ink so that we can start that process of this 30-day journey to be able to say, maybe I want to write a book, but I don't know what I want to write about just yet. Well, it starts with you creating your habit first. Just writing on a regular basis to get thoughts and feelings out of your mind that could then lead you to the process, right? The revelation of the topic that you need to write. Y'all are going to hear me say this over and over and over again. It takes me 3 pages
There you go.
to get to what it is I need to actually talk about. And if we translate that into conversation, it's not just the writing, it's the after conversation that takes place and the questioning and the ability for you to show up to say, I'm stuck, or Miss Bird, I don't get it. Like just that simple phrase allows you the space to begin to unpack and then find the thing that you should be writing about. Find the thing that you know you should be talking about. Find the thing that you should be creating a movement around, because it's not just about writing the book. Remember, it's about creating a movement with your message.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't stop here.
Mm-hmm.
It
It
starts.
starts here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You saw me. It starts here.
Well, so I have to say that I picked it up again uh, and really was engaged with the what is your why. And so I would love to hear you both talk about like what does that mean as a writer and to have your why present and what is your why?
Mm. You go, see, hold on, I'm rolling, but I'm getting a notebook. I'm not getting a book. Um Regina, I'm gonna give you space if you would like to kick this off first. If not, I can hop in there while you think.
Well, I, so it's interesting for me because I started writing poems, the poems that are going in this chapbook, because
Wait, what's this chapbook? What's the chapbook? Hold on, you can't just roll over that real quick.
yeah,
Just
so the chapbook has changed titles a couple of times here.
that's okay. That's a
So
part of the process.
Pocket full of grief, and now it's for you who hear voices.
Mm.
Um, but I started writing simply because I had stuff I needed to get outside of me. Um, Stuff that it was a lot of grief, and it wasn't just the passing of my husband. It's just life brings you grief, you know, and and we grieve for a lot of things in a lot of different ways. And we certainly, as Black women, carry a lot of grief. Um, so for me, I was writing the poem because I needed to write the poem, and the why behind the book came as the poems were written. You know, and even after I knew I wanted to write this chapbook, I still wasn't sure about the why. And what made me more sure about the why was when I'd share the poems and people's reaction to the individual poem. And what the feedback that I got from people became the why of the book.
Mm. Ooh.
So I'm hearing through conversation and bravery to share your work. Right?
Yeah.
So again, being being in a space by yourself, trying to figure it out when you only have one mind, one perspective,
Yeah,
doesn't always work.
no,
And
Right.
so
it
there's
didn't work for me.
yeah, there's been so much discovery in this space.
Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
So much
True.
discovery in this space. And for you to get that clarity of your why for the new chat book is just
Mhm.
hmm. Classic cracking jokes. Now we have so for those of y'all who need some context. One day we were in group and in conversation, and we were talking about how we each are going to be going to our own book releases and how excited we're going to be. And the topics that we're talking about are going to be so juicy that's going to piss some people off. And I'm honestly, if you're not rattling a couple of bones, if not all the bones, you're not doing the work you're supposed to be doing. And we talked about how we gonna need bodyguards. And Regina shows up and was like, "We don't need no bodyguards. We are our own bodyguards." And now it's we don't need no bodyguards. We brave in all caps.
Yeah.
oh,
In all caps.
oh.
Mm, I love
So,
that.
what would you say, Heather, about your why?
About my why, it's so funny because sometimes when people ask questions, you think you don't know the answer. And then
Mm,
through conversation, you realize you've been living the answer the
Mm-hmm.
entire time. And it's just about being able to have the language. I think, Regina, you pointed to this a little bit too, of just like, I didn't know how to articulate my why, but through conversation, people were able to pick out things that I said that allowed me to construct my why. And I think that I've always carried my why with me and learned how to put language to it. And so my ultimate why, as I mentioned earlier, is for our liberation. I want to be able to create a world as big as it will possibly allow it to be in my lifetime, where we get to move through this world without the masks,
mm,
without the weight,
mm,
through our storytelling, so that people believe what comes out of our mouths. You know what I'm saying? I wrote a poem, and then as I began to think through this even deeper, I actually did, brainstorm. Um, I did a little exercise and realized I had a whole poem about this,
mm,
that surrounded my why. And brief story: I was introduced to For Color Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Was Enough by Ntozake Shange when I was a sophomore year, junior. I was a junior in college. And it was the first time I ever saw a group of women come together in that way that allowed them to be full human beings. It was the first time that I saw language in a way that I'd never seen language on a page. And I actually had to rewire my brain in order to read the text.
mm,
And while I, came across this text and began to like really sink my teeth into it, I wanted to be able to do it at the college. And eventually I did. There were some hurdles, but it happened. And then I was blessed to be able to come across this text again, um, about 5 years later, and be a part of a production. And while I was a part of the production, I was just so proud to be the lady in blue and to be in community with these women, to learn about our stories, to vocalize our stories, to be in these rehearsals and laugh and cry and dance and challenge ourselves. And as I was advertising, for folks to come out, because I was living in Iowa at the time, and folks didn't believe that the show was going to have success. They didn't think that we were going to show up. Not only did we not show up, but we sold out every
mm,
single show. And they had to add more shows to the original schedule. So I'm posting on Facebook and letting folks know that the show is coming up, and I'm really proud of being in this production. And someone comments, "Is there one called for white girls?"
mm,
And I go, "Come to the show and we'll talk about it." Like, this is an opportunity for us to have conversation.
mm,
And this is the only time I've had a back and forth on Facebook. I do not get into arguments on social media. I don't do it. Don't have time. Don't have the desire. But I really, at the time, considered this person a friend and wanted to create dialogue with this person so that they understood why this show was so important. And I said, "Come to the show and you'll find out." Well, she never ended up showing up.
mm,
And then I ended up writing a poem called "For Other Girls Who Don't Believe Colored Girls Deserve the Rainbow." And I
Mm,
mm,
realized that was my why. That
mm,
entire piece is my why.
mm, mm.
mm,
And what's beautiful about that is that people can get behind. That's real, and that fuels. That's like the fire underneath your writing ritual, your writing, right? Your
Mhm.
anything that you do. And that's why I was asking, because in the journal, I was like, huh, how come the what's your why is there first? And then I was like, yeah, of course. If you don't know why you're doing it, you're just going to be performative. You're going to be
Mhm.
following motions as opposed to inspired. And um, and basically, if anything, if you get anything out of this, I think pick this up and just see what you can give yourself. Because I didn't bring
Mhm.
myself to the level of importance of having a why. Mine is to free myself, is to free the world and to liberate the world one person at a time, starting with myself first. And I believe that comes through getting back into our bodies, which have not been safe places as women of color, particularly Black women. And still, here we
Still,
are, still.
Right.
So I that's what keeps me going, because there are days when I'm like, oh, I don't want to get up and do this. I don't like what
Mhm.
I'm right. I don't like what I'm writing. I just, my inner critic is like all over this. And then I remember why I'm doing it, and that um keeps me going.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And it all starts in the grounding.
Hmm.
It starts in the ritual. It starts in the grounding. It grows into the why, and the why has the opportunity to evolve. And we get to
Hmm.
create a space where that evolution is possible. Because we think when I don't know, for me, I'm gonna speak for myself. When I was first asked the question, what is my why? I felt like I had to get it right. And because it wasn't perfect, for those of you all who are out there, recovering perfectionists, I see you. I am one of you. It's okay. Come on in. I'm knocking on the door. Come on in. It's all right. Right. I thought my answer had to be perfect, and it wasn't. And that is okay. And I think that's what this space is for. This space is exists in order for us to evolve and giving ourselves the permission to evolve.
that is exactly the word that was going through my brain.
Hmm.
Mm.
That is exactly the word. It's because sometimes we don't know the why,
Mm.
and sometimes we have to grow into the why.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Did you
That
say grow into the?
Yes, you're right, Professor. I'm writing it down.
it's the evolving,
It is.
and it's being in a space that says you're okay, who you are right now, wherever you are, you're okay.
Yeah.
And because I'm okay here, right now,
Mhm.
whoever I am, then I get to be something more.
Mm.
Yeah.
But if I'm always protecting and living behind the
Mhm.
mask, I mean, it's like being inside of walls. You know, there's no sunlight, there's no rain, there ain't nothing to make me grow.
Mm.
Mhm. Oof.
So being in this community is like being moving outside of those walls into
Mhm.
a place where you can put down some roots, you can find your rituals, you can find your why, and you can grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Oof. So I want to close this out. And I want to ask a question before we transition. So we're talking about evolving and the permission to evolve and to not always have the answer right first or feel like we have to be perfect right out the gate in order to make things happen. So as we are evolving and as our rituals are evolving with us, if you could create one new writing ritual starting tomorrow, what would it be? Ooh,
Mm.
well, mine just hit me. Why y'all think I'll go first? I wasn't
Yeah.
ready. I was asking the question, but I was like, it just hit me. Celebrate.
Say more.
I want to be able to go into my writing
Mm.
in gratitude and to celebrate what I have. I'm getting emotional. Celebrate what I have done
Mhm.
up until this point. I think this question was for me. Um,
Mhm.
because again, we're tapping into that joy.
Hmm.
that good feeling that makes you then want to do it more.
Mhm.
And so, what does
Mhm.
it look like for me? Celebration lives in my body. I love happy dances. So, what does it look like for me to turn on my favorite song or the song I need to hear that day to remind myself how far I've come?
Mhm.
And then even dream of where I'm going and have that all just live in a dance.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks. That
Mhm.
wasn't planned. That was not planned. It just hit me. And it hit me hard, which means, all right, cool. I need to start doing that.
Yep. Celebrate.
Good time,
Good
come
times, come on.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, that I'm glad you went first because it again it inspired me to think, okay, what is really mine? And I realized that I'm spending a lot of time navigating empty pages and covering the empty pages, and I want to adopt a ritual of going back and looking at what I have already written. I have a lot of journals,
Mm.
and I'd like to use those as the rich texts that I tend to, imbue on other authors. I'd like to go back and use that as part of my ritual of reading my own words to
Mm-hmm.
inspire my new words.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Huh. I think one thing I would like to do is like to explore one small memory, just one, just a little one, and then see where it takes me. Um, and to do that on a regular basis. I started today writing about the house that I grew up in, and it's amazing to go back and put on the page all the different things that I remember about this house.
Mm.
What it looked like when we first moved in, it's nothing like what it looks like right now.
Yeah.
And and to and to follow the stories within that. Because then as I started writing, I started remembering things that happened.
Yeah.
And as I'm remembering little things that happened, I'm like, oh, well, that's a whole nother story. Oh, that's a whole nother story.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'd like to
Mm.
really write down one little memory about something every day, and
Mm. Ooh,
then go from my pen, and
yeah.
then explore that.
Yeah. And to have all that richness to pull from when you're ready too, because sometimes we're not ready to dive into those, or I know I get snippets all the
Go
time, but trying to figure out where to put them so that I can go
Mhm,
back to them, right? And so to
mhm,
have that richness live somewhere. And then
mm,
on days where you're like, I don't know what to write about, or I'm stuck, reach into your metaphorical bowl and pull out a memory.
mhm.
Mm.
And you know what? I'm just because you said that,
Okay.
reach into your metaphorical bowl. I was like, I need to start a file. That's all that is. And
Mhm.
then every time I get stuck,
Stuck.
Duh. You just pull from it.
yeah,
You'll never run out of ideas.
yeah. Oh,
Mm.
let me make that happen.
Let's go. Look, Cassie said, I love this. I'm going to start hyping myself up in the mirror after every writing session like a super fan borderline groupie.
Oh,
For yourself. For yourself. Look here. Context for this too.
oh,
Context, right? So this is someone from my group. We call
oh,
pom poms.
a pom pom.
We call her pom pom for a reason. She hypes up everybody. Oh,
Mm.
yo, I got a lump in my throat. I'm not gonna cry. You're crying. She hypes up everyone. And
Mhm.
now it's time for her to hype up herself.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
That's right.
That's growth.
Yay, Kathy.
That you wouldn't have said that a month ago.
I don't think so either.
You wouldn't have said that a year ago. The pom poms will be. I believe you. I believe you. Yo,
Mhm.
one little thing. Sometimes, literally, that's all it takes is
Mhm.
one little thing to shift your entire trajectory for your writing
Mhm.
routine. Sometimes it is picking up that one journal
Yep.
to help shift your trajectory in
Yep.
your writing journey. And we have set this up purposefully so that you have the opportunity to go on a 30-day journey that is guided, that you've already heard from Joan. Starts off and kicks off with you exploring your why, but then you have a chance to really lean into the foundational work that is necessary for you to get into a really good rhythm
Mhm.
to establish for your writing practice. And you don't have to do it alone.
Nope.
Actually, I would encourage you not to do it alone. And
Right.
we have spaces for you to be able to do that with us as well. You all have heard about the morning writing space. We get together every morning, Monday through Friday, from 6:30 a.m. Central Time to 7 a.m. to write for 30 minutes. We have the opportunity
Mm.
to come together and consistently write for 30 minutes Monday through Friday. And sometimes they love each other so much and miss each other and want to continue writing, they'll have a writing group on the weekends as well. But if you are a morning person, if you need to kickstart your day off the right way, Cassie was talking about this the other day about how being in this group really helps her get through the day. Joan
Mhm.
talked about it as well. Regina has said it. I have said it, right? It really helps to get you through your day. And we
Mhm.
focus on stream of consciousness writing, or you could focus on the prompt
Mm.
that exists here in this journal, or you could focus on your book project. 30 minutes a day gives you 2.5 hours a week that you probably didn't have on your calendar to write your book.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But let's just say you wake up in the morning and you go work out, or you got kids you got to send off to school, or you just not a morning person. Because I told somebody we meet in the morning, and they're like, "Oh no," and I was like, "Let me tell you, honey, I'm not a morning person either." But we were doing it for 21 months, and it was absolutely transformative, right? Or let's say you're a teacher and you have to be at school early, and the mornings just don't work for you. Maybe you're on the West Coast and you're like, "I'm not getting up at 4:30 in the morning," and I'm like, "That's real," and I see you, and I wouldn't do it either. We also have expanded to the evening pages as well. And so on Mondays and Wednesdays for an hour, we write together. And so we come together and we ground ourselves and have a chance to release the day and do some writing so that we can really lean into who we are as writers and work through our projects. So that is the first 15 minutes. Well, not the first 15 minutes. We greet ourselves, we ground, and then we do 15 minutes of writing. We take a 5-minute break and then we come back together and do 20 minutes of writing towards our projects. And when I tell y'all the things that are happening in this group in the
Mm.
evenings, the progress that we're moving through, and the for me revelations that I have had in my own writing to have this space has been absolutely phenomenal. It is wild. So whether you have your copy of Igniting Ink and you need a space to be able to work through it, the mornings are or the evenings are available for you. If you have a book project and you've always been wanting to write a book and you've been sitting on it for 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, and you're like, now is the time to do it, go ahead. Come in, join us, be in community with us, begin to establish your writing routine. I will drop the link in the chat if y'all have questions about what that space looks like. I am available. You can hop in my DMs, you can send me an email. I am available for you, along with all of the other women that are in this group. It is
Mm.
something that has transformed the way that we move. And when I tell you all, don't want to miss this, being a part of this space. Just try it out.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Any last words before we hop off, y'all? Any words of wisdom for the folks that are watching? Thank you all so much for the ones that have been here and have
Mm.
and chiming in and being a part of the conversation with us.
I would just say be part of your own movement in your life. It doesn't have to be watching it on TV. It doesn't have to be witnessing somebody else's joy. You can start to create it for yourself. Why wait? Show up for yourself now.
Yeah.
Just see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. Don't wait until you get 75. Now.
Or 58.
Look here. Oh, welcome. I think that's another beautiful thing too about the space. It is intergenerational.
It is.
And the wisdom that
Mm.
we gain from those conversations are absolutely amazing. So I thank you all so much for being here with us and joining us for another Igniting Ink Live. We will be joining you all once a month in this format collectively. If you haven't already checked out the other Igniting Ink Lives that we did, there are 5 that we have done so far. Make sure you all go and head and check out those other lives. They were absolutely phenomenal. You'll have a chance to
That
see
was fun.
Joan read. You'll have a chance to see Regina read. Jano also read. Catherine read. You know, it, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. All right. So I will let you know that I see you. You are not alone. You are a future author, and I absolutely believe in all of your dreams of becoming a writer and an author. And I cannot wait to share space with you next time. But until next time, I want to encourage you to keep reading, keep writing, and as always, keep flying, y'all.
Bye.